In Yemen's Houthis continue their relentless attacks on Israel and US aircraft carrier Harry S. Truman. 2 days after Israel attacked Hodeidah in response to the Houthi strike on Ben Gurion Airport in Israel, Houthis have now claimed to have launched a drone attack on Israel's Ramon Airport.
What if I told you that 15 silent, unblinking eyes appeared on the horizon, not as a wave, but as a whisper? A coordinated dance of impending doom aimed squarely at the heart of your steel world. And what happened next didn't just shock. The crew, it sent a jolt through the very foundations of naval warfare. Life aboard the USS Indomitable, a name chosen to inspire. To intimidate, usually hummed with a controlled, predictable rhythm. She was one of the Navy's finest, a Nimitz-class behemoth, over 1,000 feet of American sovereignty. 5,000 souls called her home, a floating city with its own zip code, its own routines, its own heartbeat. For a young petty officer, Miller, a radar technician just 6 months into his first deployment. It was a world away from his quiet hometown in Ohio. His office was a dimly lit room deep within the carrier's steel maze. The Combat Information Center, or CIC, here. The world outside was reduced to glowing green blips on a screen. A symphony of data that he and his team translated into a picture of the surrounding seas and skies. Most days, it was routine, identifying. Commercial airliners on distant routes tracking friendly naval traffic. The occasional blip that turned out to be a pod of dolphins confusing the sonar. There was a comforting monotony to it, a sense that the Indomitable, with its fleet of F/A-18 Super Hornets, its early warning aircraft, and its bristling array of defensive missiles and guns, was the apex predator of this watery world. Nothing, it felt, could truly touch them. The sailors went about their duties, flight ops, launching jets with a thunderous roar that shook your bones. Mechanics working tirelessly in the cavernous hangar bays. Cooks serving up thousands of meals. Navigators charting courses through. A vast, indifferent ocean. There was a sense of pride, of course, but also a deep-seated confidence that bordered on invincibility. This ship was a fortress. That Tuesday morning started like any other. The sun climbed a hazy sky, painting the calm waters of the Arabian Sea in hues of gold and blue. On the bridge, Captain Eva Rostova, a woman who had shattered more than one. Glass ceiling in her ascent to command, sipped her coffee, her eyes scanning the horizon with a practiced gaze. Below deck, Miller was tracking a routine patrol flight. Suddenly, a new contact appeared on his screen, small, unidentified. Then, another and another. Within minutes, his screen was painting a picture that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Not one, not two, but 15 distinct small contacts, moving in a loose but discernible coordinated formation, closing in on the carrier group from the east. They weren't commercial aircraft. Their flight profile was too low, too erratic. For that, they weren't military jets. They were too slow, their radar signature too faint, almost ghost-like. Miller's voice, usually calm, cracked slightly as he reported. CIC to bridge. Multiple unidentified air contacts, bearing 090. Range 50 miles, closing. Classification, unknown. Possibly, drones, ma'am. 15 of them. A hush fell over the normally bustling CIC. 15 drones. Out here, the word swarm wasn't spoken, but it hung heavy in the air. A cold, unwelcome premonition. This wasn't in the usual playbook. Captain Rostova felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Drones, not the sophisticated, multi-million-dollar Reapers or global hawks they were used to tracking. These signatures suggested something smaller, cheaper, perhaps even expendable. But 15 of them, moving with purpose. That spelled intent. General quarters, general quarters. All hands man your battle stations. Her voice, firm and unwavering, boomed through the ship's intercom, instantly shattering the morning's tranquility. The ship's klaxon blared. a jarring, urgent cry that sent sailors scrambling through passageways. Steel doors slamming shut, the ship transforming from a city at sea to a bristling weapon of war. On the flight deck, pilots sprinted to their jets, ground crews swarming around them, arming missiles, fueling engines. Deep within the Indomitable, Miller's fingers flew across his console, trying to get a clearer read on the approaching swarm. Their speed was increasing. They were small, yes, but they were also numerous, and their radar cross-section was infuriatingly tiny, making them difficult to lock onto with conventional systems designed to track much larger, faster threats. The shock wasn't from an explosion, not yet. It was the dawning, chilling realization, the Queen of the Seas. This monument to naval power was being stalked by a pack of what looked like glorified model airplanes, and they were uncomfortably close to becoming a very real, very new kind of problem. The invincibility felt a little less certain now. Young sailors, barely old enough to vote, donned flash gear, their faces grim. The training scenarios they'd run 100 times, suddenly feeling terrifyingly real. This wasn't a drill. The next few minutes stretched into an eternity. Each second, thick with a tension you could cut with a knife. The Indomitable and her escorting destroyers and cruisers formed a defensive perimeter. Their advanced radar systems, now fully active, painting the approaching swarm in starker detail. "Contact's now 20 miles, ma'am," Miller reported. His voice tight, still maintaining formation. Speed increasing. Captain Rostova gripped the edge of her command chair. Engage defensive systems. Prioritize closest threats. Launch the CAP Combat Air Patrol. 2 FA-18s already on high alert. Catapulted off the deck with a deafening roar, streaking towards the incoming blips. On the screens in CIC, the world became a chaotic dance of symbols and vectors. The ship's phalanx CIWs rapid firing. Gatling guns designed as a last line of defense began to track, their barrels spinning with an ominous whine. Surface-to-air missiles were armed and ready on the escort ships. The entire carrier strike group was a hornet's nest, poked and prodded into a furious response. But the drones were agile, and their numbers were the real weapon. For every one the Super Hornets engaged, or a destroyer targeted with a missile, others seemed to slip through the initial defensive screen, jinking and weaving. They weren't firing missiles, not yet. Their intent seemed more insidious, to overwhelm, to confuse, to find a seam in the armor. One drone, then two, got dangerously close to the Indomitable herself. The CIWs erupted, spitting out a torrent of 20mm rounds, a desperate close-range barrage. Tracers lit up the sky. Miller watched, heart in his throat, as one of the close-in drones disintegrated in a flash of shrapnel. Just a few hundred yards from the carrier's port side. A collective sigh of relief quickly cut short. Another was still coming. This was it. The moment where a billion-dollar warship, a testament to a superpower's might, faced off against a piece of technology that might have cost less than a family car. The shock was in the asymmetry, the sheer audacity of the challenge. This wasn't David versus Goliath. This was Goliath versus a swarm of very determined, very annoying gnats, each one carrying a potential sting. The engagement was a whirlwind of organized chaos. The FA-18s, flown by some of the best pilots in the world, were dogfighting, not with enemy fighters, but with these nimble, expendable adversaries. It was frustrating, like trying to swat flies with a sledgehammer. Missiles, designed to take down multi-million-dollar jets, were being expended on targets that were, in terms of cost, almost insignificant. Yet, their threat was undeniable. The CIWS on the Indomitable and her escorts chattered almost continuously. Explosions dotted the sky as drones were hit, some vaporizing instantly, others spiraling into the sea in plumes of smoke. But the swarm was relentless. 2 more drones, slipping past the outer defenses, made a direct run at one of the escorting destroyers. One was shredded by its CIWs, but the other, in its final moments, detonated just above its deck. Not a catastrophic hit, but enough to rattle the ship, disable a radar array, and send a shower of debris across its superstructure. Minor damage, a few superficial injuries, but the psychological impact was immense. They could get through. On the Indomitable, a drone managed to evade the final defensive net, impacting harmlessly against the heavily armored island superstructure. With a thud and a small smoky flare-up, likely a small reconnaissance drone or one whose explosive payload failed. It caused no real damage, but the thud echoed through the bridge like a thunderclap. Everyone knew if that had been a larger drone or one packed with more potent explosives, the story could have been very different. By the time the last of the 15 drones was confirmed, splashed, or neutralized, the engagement had lasted a nerve-wracking 12 minutes. Silence descended, broken only by the crackle of comms and the heavy breathing of sailors. The immediate aftermath was a strange cocktail of adrenaline, relief, and a profound, unsettling quiet. No one on the Indomitable was seriously hurt, and the damage to the strike group was minimal, superficial. The defenses had, for the most part, worked. But something had fundamentally shifted. Captain Rostova looked out at the empty sky, the only evidence of the battle, the fading smoke trails, and the disturbed waters where the drones had met their end. This wasn't a victory in the traditional sense. It was a wake-up call, a brutal demonstration of a new reality. The era of untouchable naval fortresses, if it ever truly existed, was being seriously challenged by cheap, numerous, and increasingly sophisticated unmanned systems. Petty Officer Miller leaned back in his chair in CIC, the tension slowly draining from his shoulders, replaced by a weary understanding. The blips were gone, but the memory of that screen, filled with a swarm of unknowns, would stay with him. The shock wasn't just about the attack itself, but the questions it raised, the vulnerabilities it exposed. The ocean suddenly felt a little bigger, and the shadows in it a little more complex. The conversation in the days and weeks that followed, not just on the Indomitable, but in naval commands worldwide, would be about this: how to adapt, how to evolve, how to counter a threat that could come from anywhere, cost next to nothing, and still make the mightiest warship pause and reconsider its invincibility. The age of drone warfare had well and truly arrived, and it had announced itself not with a bang against the hull, but with a persistent, unnerving buzz that signaled a profound change in the winds of war. This encounter, born from the rapidly evolving landscape of modern conflict, is more than just a tale of steel and silicon clashing over open water. It's a human story about the courage of sailors facing the unknown, the ingenuity of those who design these incredible machines of war, and the stark realization that even the most powerful among us must constantly adapt to a world that refuses to stand still. It's about understanding that the future of defense, and indeed conflict, is being rewritten before our very eyes, often by technologies that were science fiction only a decade ago. If this story, this glimpse into a high-stakes moment where technology and human nerve were tested to their limits, captured your imagination, or made you think about the ever-changing world we live in, then I'd love for you to join our community. Hit that like button if you found this engaging. Share it with someone who appreciates a good story backed by real-world shifts. And be sure to subscribe for more content that tries to connect us with the deeper narratives shaping our times. Your support helps us bring more of these incredible stories to light. Until next time, stay curious.